Imagine a future where every network experience is custom-tailored to suit your organization's unique needs. Extreme's AI will work for you behind the scenes, empowering your team to be more productive and focus on additional strategic priorities. Our AI will autonomously learn and optimize your network based on business KPIs, while our intelligent agent not only keeps you informed, but also anticipates and addresses your questions before they arise, transforming how you interact with your infrastructure and data. For over a decade, Extreme has delivered cloud and networking innovation. Now, with more AI, we're helping you accelerate productivity to meet today's challenges, prepare for tomorrow's opportunities, and create a successful future.
All right, awesome. There's lots of awesome things that are going to come. You know, there's one topic in today's world that you cannot have a conversation without. Whether you are in a bar, whether you are in a conference like this, you're in a meeting, or you're talking to your kids, or you're talking to your grandparents. Doesn't really matter. Whatever you're talking about, somehow AI gets into it. And that is a broad and expansive topic. AI has been around for a little while now. It's not new. But it was not until ChatGPT that it caught our imagination globally the way it did. Now, it's an amazing, powerful technology. And the possibilities are limitless, which typically results in two emotions in sometimes equal parts: excitement and fear. Because when it is so exciting that you can do anything with it, it's scary that you can do anything with it. But at Extreme, we believe in innovating in technology on your behalf and to bring these technologies in a practical, thoughtful, and secure ways so you can actually use them now for the use cases, for the challenges that you face today, and be able to bring value to your teams, your companies, and your customers. Now, Extreme cannot do that on its own. And we are so proud that we have an entire ecosystem of partners who are helping us do just that. And it is my honor today to invite a few of them here. So with a big round of applause, Eduardo from Microsoft, Eric from Intel, and Marcus, our very own Marcus from Extreme. Come on over, guys. We'll sit this way.
There you go.
Why follow the norm, right?
That's right.
Okay. So we're going to talk about AI.
Well, did you get the memo about the shoes?
I did not get the memo about the shoes. But the good news is my closet is full of Texas boots. So got that going for me.
Hopefully next time.
Next time.
Next time, I'll send you a message through ChatGPT instead of email.
There you go.
All right. So, you know, I'm not going to go through the introductions because most of these people are well known to everybody. So I'm going to jump straight into it. We had some conversation around AI yesterday, you know, in the leadership and also at the same time in the hallways. Every conversation somehow ended up being an AI conversation. And you know, one of the topics that bubbled up to the top was about trust. And you, Eduardo, you have told me before that AI will die by trust or live by trust. So I'm going to pose that question to you. All of our audience sitting here, our customers, our users, our partners, how should we wrap our heads around trust and AI?
So first of all, thank you so much for the invitation of being here. We at Microsoft simply are thrilled with the partnership with Extreme because we're building some of the most innovative use cases that we've seen in the industry. So super grateful to you, to your team, and to the whole Extreme team. We're really making a huge difference here. Straight to your question, if I may break this into 3 pieces, and I hope that this is just simply and practical. AI was not born yesterday. And we all want to talk about it as if it was. But come on, I mean, AI has been around since the 1950s. But it had one thing up until February of last year. It may have been feasible, but it was not practical. And if you want me to break that down, that's very simple. You needed data scientists, you needed to train models, you needed a lot of compute, you needed a lot of data, you needed a lot of money, and a lot of money. And then a lot of money. And then you put it in production and you needed more money. And so eventually you said there's like this many use cases that you would spend that amount of money to use AI. And so it was very hard. And a lot of the examples that we had on AI were not really that practical. Some of them did not really answer what we wanted. And so to that point, the thing that happened is that all of a sudden it became practical. You could do something with it. And it just started to expand and expand and expand. And what we call Gen AI, or what we want to call Gen AI right now in the media, is not really Gen AI. I mean, please also, let's be honest. You need some Gen AI, you need some general AI, so not just generative. You also need some general AI. You may need some data, some analysis. And at the end of the day, what you're building is an application. Now, we've all built applications, right? So, I mean, okay, you're adding some components of Gen AI, but I'm just trying to say not the whole thing is new. There's components of it that are new. And so hence the question on trust. And for the past 2 years, my team and I have been building the largest amount of solutions with partners like Extreme and many, many other companies that we interact with in our day-to-day life than almost any team. And I'll tell you, everybody starts with the same 5 questions, right? The first question is my data going to be private, right? So privacy. The second one is, am I going to be secure and compliant? So far, so good? Would those be your first 2? And the third one is, and I don't know if this is your third or fourth, but it would be, okay, if I'm successful and I do scale this, how do I manage the scalability of this thing, right? So if it goes really big, like how do I manage scalability? And the fourth, which could be interchangeable with the third, is how do I manage the cost, right? Because this can get expensive. And then last but not least, you would say, but I need it to be accurate. Well, think about what I just said. If you get into a truck and you try to turn it on and it doesn't turn on, do you really care if it has a seatbelt? Okay, that didn't fall well.
We are in Texas.
Did you understand what I said? If you can't even turn the truck on, do you really care if it has a seatbelt? Okay, thank you. So my point is simple. It dies on it being useful in doing the purpose that you wanted it to do first. Then it will fail on everything else. So a lot of people are not understanding that there's a lot of scenarios where this is not going to be practical, and we're going to see them, and everybody's going to get excited, and then 2 seconds later, nobody's going to use that. But there's scenarios that are incredibly useful, so you've got to break this trust component, this trust conversation, into the piece that it is useful to you, because you're not going to build a computer language every time you build an application. Is that fair? Mm-hmm. You're not going to create a database every time you need to store some data. Again, is that at some point you're going to say, this models I trust with these vendors, right? And so we're going to get to that point, and a lot of people are getting to that point really fast. And when you break it into scenarios, and when you break it into specific tasks, and you say, this is what I'm going to use it for, and this is the benefit that I get out of it, and it's a high-value scenario, and here is the other key concept I want to coin on you, it's feasible. You can actually build it with today's components, and it meets the 5 things we just said. You're going to end up saying, this is pretty cool. And so that's what we're seeing faster than any other technology that I've seen in my 40 years in this space. And I'm not kidding. I've never seen something where we can launch a system to production in 4 weeks or 5 weeks. And it be everything, compliant, secure, scalable, cost-effective, and accurate. And so I think trust is going to be a very important conversation on enforcement, on law, on privacy, on security, but let's be honest, it has to be on the part where you're going to use it, not on generic, is there a robot coming after me tomorrow? No, and by the way, if you would try right now, it would be a pretty dumb robot. So not yet, maybe later.
So Eduardo, thank you so much. And look, Eduardo is the Chief Data and AI Officer for Microsoft AI, and Microsoft has been at the leading edge of compliance, security, data privacy, data residency, sovereignty, because we know that because we've been doing that with you on the cloud side, on the Extreme Cloud side, and that's why when we decided that we want a partner that we want to go deep with when developing this AI technology for all of you, we decided to partner with Microsoft, and we are very, very excited about what we'll bring together.
Thank you for saying that, because the part that I didn't want to say myself and that I'm very grateful that Nabil just said is, we did not believe that Gen AI or any other component of AI was more exclusive to security, compliance, privacy, residency, sovereignty, etc., than any other components of your applications. Is that fair? You would want all the components to meet all those requirements. And so for us, every component of AI or Gen AI falls within exactly the same rules that everything else within Azure would have to fall in. And that is the difference. So that, hence, we can build a system that complies across all of its components with privacy, sovereignty, compliance, et cetera, et cetera. And sovereignty is an important one because you may find that some solutions, depending on whether you put them in the world, are going to have to meet different requirements. So thank you for mentioning that.
Awesome. Now I'm going to turn towards my other partner. So, Eric, when you and I started talking about AI and how do we build it, and its sister topic of data, one of the things that you said was that, look, it takes a village to build a successful AI application. What did you mean by that?
Well, I think the fact that we're all sitting here on stage is a great example of that, right? We come together with a myriad of components. Most of us have some data, right? But I don't have all the data. You don't have all the data. Microsoft doesn't have all the data. So you need data from different partners. You need processing at different places along the network, right? From the cloud to the device. And we don't own all of those. You don't own all of those. So in order to make all of these things happen and to go actually deliver use cases that benefit users and companies and the world, we all have to work this together. So I love the engagement that we have together. We're helping you with some data. You guys are putting that data to use. We've done a lot of work with Microsoft to do things using our data and their data, their systems and our systems, our equipment, their OS, to make all this stuff work. So it's pretty cool, and I think it's the power of how this all comes to meet those 5 things that Eduardo said, right? You can't meet them by ourselves. We need us all.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so Eric, you are the general manager of the Intel wireless solution. That's a big job. You probably talk to almost everybody out there in the industry. One of the things that a lot of companies and even our users, that gives them a little bit of pause is this data question, the data silos within. And there are 2 schools of thoughts in there. One is, hey, we need to fix our data culture before we can get on the AI journey. And yeah, those people are still trying to fix the data culture, right? And the other one is that, look, I don't need to get all of it clean. I don't need to get all of it perfect. I need to do the data that is specific to the use case and then just move forward. Which one of the 2 you line up with?
So I'm a huge proponent of making a decision on what you want to go do, right? What's important? What value are you trying to drive? What's your objective? What problem are you trying to solve? Start there, and then start building the value of that use case, the ROI of that use case, and then you start building after that the solution. Because if you don't know what you're trying to accomplish and you don't know the goal and objective of doing it, you're probably not going to get where you want to go anyway. But on the other hand, we're all on a learning journey. And I think AI together, again, as an ecosystem, we're going to do some cool things together, and we're going to try a lot of things together. And I don't think any of us right now can predict the 5 or 10 or 15 things that are just going to change our lives. But that's where I start, is what problem are we trying to solve, and why are we trying to solve this? What's the best way to get there? Is AI going to accelerate that? Is it going to help it? And you start there, and you'll end up at the right place, I think.
Absolutely. And look, I was leading the witness a little bit there because you and I already agreed that this is the way forward, which is a great segue into, Marcus, your section. So we created Extreme Labs. And the purpose of Extreme Labs was to work on technologies that are becoming relevant in the industry today and will become more so. Things like AI, things like, I won't go to the next ones, but we'll stick to AI right now.
Let's stay with AI for now.
Yeah. But exactly as Eric and Eduardo mentioned, we didn't try to go create an AI that could do anything, because that would be crazy, right? We went ahead and we said, look, in the networking space, in the security space, what are those specific use cases that we want to accomplish, accelerate through the use of AI, right? So tell us a little bit. Tell Elizabeth what's happening in Extreme Labs. What are the use cases that we are trying to make available for our customers and users? How are you going about it? Yep. You are, by the way, just for everybody, we just recently created an AI engineering team. And Marcus, in addition to being the CTO of the EMEA region, is now also the head of our AI engineering team. So you have a big job. So what are we doing for our users here?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot going on, and as we expect that our customers are buying into an ecosystem like we have it here, it's all about the team as well. So you buy into an ecosystem, you buy into a team, and you need a strong team to navigate all of the challenges that we are seeing, but also seize the opportunities together. And you really start, as everybody said, with the use cases. So we want to make your life easier in terms of how you interact with Extreme, how you interact with our documentation. If you want to find something out there, it takes a long time. We have a lot of pages of documentation on our website.
We have 700,000 pages of documentation on our web. No matter how amazing your search capabilities are, it's going to take you a little time to get to the information that you want.
It might take a little time. We have 20,000 plus knowledge base entries from our GTech team that also you need to sift through if you want to find something. There are hundreds and thousands of service contracts. So there's a lot going on, and we want to simplify that. So I always say prompt is a new search, so don't search for it. Ask the system, and the system will come back with a tailored response. So that helps you in your day-to-day life to increase productivity, efficiency, and spend the time on the strategic opportunities that are in front of you.
So, Marcus, just like I put the product team on the spot, I'm going to do that with you as well. Enough talk. Can you show it to our audience, what you're working on?
Talk is cheap, execution is priceless. So let's do that, yes. Exactly, yeah.
All right, so if we can have Marcus' laptop on there. All right. Perfect. So Marcus, tell us first, what is it that we are looking at right now?
Are you seeing something already? Okay, that's good. So, that is awesome. So that's the experience that we created for Extreme Labs. So it's really a place to collaborate, to co-innovate together, but also to expose our emerging capabilities to customers, to partners moving forward, and collect feedback early on in the development process. We focus on AI right now, and we're not talking about the other things that we have in the pipeline, so to speak. Yeah? The experience itself is pretty simple. Right now, we are obviously going to integrate those capabilities across Extreme Cloud as a platform, but let's start with a simple use case that we just mentioned, which is you might have forgotten how to configure a secure Wi-Fi network, or you have a new team member that quickly you want to onboard and ramp up. So you, instead of searching, you just ask the system, so how do I configure a secure Wi-Fi network? So it does create suggestions, as you've seen before already, and obviously I have a typo right from the start, which it would correct. And then, instead of going through those hundreds of thousands of pages, the system will tailor a response unique to your question. And not only that, it is also important that we not only really validate the response, but we also expose you to the information that we use to generate that response. That information is always up to date, so we make sure that we have the latest documentation integrated, and it gives you a reference that you can just follow up and make sure that trust is important, that you know where we generated the response
And
from.
this is a really important point, because you can go ask this information to any ChatGPT-ish kind of application that is readily available on the internet, and it might give you an answer that might look something like this. But this information is actually verified with expert data that is generated by Extreme. So this is the accuracy part that you were talking about, because just getting an answer is not good enough. An answer that is accurate enough that you can trust it. And that's a unique capability. Now, Marcus, let me ask you, what if I don't like the answer? Because we all know AI is not going to be 100% right 100% of the time. So if I don't like it, what do I do?
If you don't like it, you can give us feedback, actually. We obviously want feedback. If you don't like it, you can respond broadly, but also very specifically, which we then use to improve the system and the accuracy of the system over time. Yeah? It does change not only the development process for us, but also the quality assurance process. So every time we see feedback coming in, another machine takes it, processes it, and makes sure that we improve our system over time. And every release, we are measuring the accuracy, the faithfulness, the relevance of the responses, and also the completeness of the response, and add all of the feedback into this as well. So obviously, we like the response. It's pretty accurate, so I would rather say it's a thumbs up, yeah, and not a thumbs down, yeah. Yeah, so that's where it starts, but it doesn't stop here, because ultimately, as you can hear from my accent, I might be challenged by English at times, other people as well. We are in Texas, Spanish is pretty close to us, so let's say I want it in Spanish. Yeah? So, habla español. So Eduardo is here to validate the response. Is it accurate?
Is it good Spanish?
Yes. It's perfect German.
It's very...
And look, this is really important for us. Extreme is a global company. Our community is global. We are in many different countries out there. Our users speak many different languages out there, and we want to make sure that this is applicable and useful for everybody out there, not just for English speakers. All right.
Let me add one thing. The really cool thing that you're seeing here, which is not fair for Extreme to talk about themselves of this, but that I can tell you because my team is building hundreds of these with different companies, is they added 3 concepts here that are incredibly powerful. One is you're within the context of the documentation, but also within the context of your environment. So if you go to ChatGPT generically, you would not get something as accurate or as relevant, which again goes into the value of this. The second thing is it's not integrated into your solution. So you can't go further from this, right? The question would just be documentation. That would be all that you can get. And the last thing, that small feedback thing, that's incredibly powerful, because that's the way you get back not only that the answer was correct, but also was there something where the system failed? And your feedback loop to them provides specific documentation that provides to the whole system, not just to the bot, but also or the assistant, but also to the documentation and the response and how it interacts further.
Yeah. Exactly, which is perfect bridge to the next part of the demo. As we not only engage with documentation, we basically allow you to engage with private operational data, both from a network security, but also in general enterprise data that we can integrate. That increases the value of the solution exponentially. And just to give you an example, I just want to figure out what's going on with my network here in Dallas. So I asked the system, show me all network anomalies from location Dallas as a chart. So what's going to happen? It's a simple prompt, but there's a lot happening in the background as well. So first and foremost, we detect what the user intent is. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for data. I'm looking for network data from Dallas. Where do I get the information from? I go back to Extreme Cloud, get the data, figure out what I need to do with the data, and also the best way on how to present it. Usually I don't have to put in as a chart. The system will figure out based on the type of data being returned, whether it should be returned in a chart, in a table, whatever, and it presents it to you. The data that we are looking at is generated by another AI agent as well. As we look at data and anomalies within our operational data on an ongoing basis, we bring those two concepts, generative AI and other AI agents, together. That's called a multi-agent system that really interacts with each other and mimics human teamwork to achieve certain results and produce certain outcomes.
Yeah, so Marcus, on that, I think that's an important point, because you and I were talking about it earlier, that the multi-agent nature of AI is really critical. Think about it this way. When you want to find an answer in your companies today, there's no single person that can answer every question. You go to various different teams to get the information from those teams, and then somebody collects them together to get to that insight, get to that answer. And this is going back to, yes, data might exist in silos, but you don't have to wait until you collect all of the data together. You can create a multi-agent AI environment that can get the right data from different silos, bring it together, and still give you a very, very useful piece of information, insight, or answer, even if your data is not absolutely cleaned and in a lake together. And that's a very important point. It is about unlocking your journey, so you can do something useful today and not have to wait for the nirvana, right?
But there's a really important point here, which is, does this take away a part of the job of, no, because you couldn't do this before. There's so much data that you cannot access, your administrators cannot access. It's because of time, because of expertise, because of correlation, because I need the expertise of 5 people, so by the time I get them on a meeting, you're resolving the case 3 days later, and then your SLA went down, et cetera, et cetera. And so the speed of reaction that this enables and empowers the person that's doing the job right there is really what this does. This empowers people that are right now already overworked and already if you want, drowned on data to extract insight. And so that's why this environment is so powerful. And this looks so simple, and yet it's so incredibly hard to do if you try to do it just with, putting everybody together in tables and data and stuff.
So Marco, what more do you want to show?
And you never get the right data. And one thing also important, it changes also the way on how you engage. It's not only text, it's a multimodal AI system. We understand text, pictures, graphics, videos, topology, and also generate them along the way, specifically as we go from day 2 operations use cases to day 1 and day 0, so planning and deployment use cases, that becomes really relevant. In context, you can continue the conversation and say, okay, I've seen, okay, we have Wi-Fi efficiency and capacity problems, but based on what access points? So I just asked the simple questions. For those anomalies that you have shown me, show me the distribution for each access point as a chart again. So system is looking into it, so you know that AP8 and AP9 are the problem childs, so to speak, which is still a network view. And as we talked about, AI ecosystems are about the data ecosystem, and specifically the diversity of data is really, really important, where we are integrating client-side data from Intel's point of view, from the client, to also generate the view of, okay, we have delivered a certain experience from the network. How does a client feel about that? And I'll just ask the system. So.
And while you're typing this, Marcus, and we got to work on speeding up your typing, Eric, I'll come to you. I mean, you see obviously this wireless Wi-Fi everywhere, right? How do you see this space changing? Because the thing with Wi-Fi is you can't see it. The spectrum, you can't see it. So people, kind of like, okay, what is it that I'm looking for and stuff. So in your view, taking this data from a network side, which comes from our APs, and from the device side, which comes from your data, combining them together and then feeding it through this trustworthy, practical AI system, how do you see the value of this to, not just our customers, but to broader wireless market?
Like gold, right? So I think that, first of all, we're going to solve real problems, and we're going to solve them a lot quicker than we could in the past, right? When you bring all that data together, it's not just data, It's the insights that happen as a result of that data, and then the decisions that you can make or have the AI engine make that will then resolve those problems, or at least give information to resolve those problems to the right people so that those problems get taken care of quickly. We all know that, every day at work or every day at home or every day on the road, we were just talking this morning about the hotel Wi-Fi. Sorry if I'm offending any hotel Wi-Fi people here. But we were joking at the table, if only there were some people who understood networking and Wi-Fi in the building that could help with this. But we're on the cusp of solving real problems by bringing all this information together and having multiple places to process it, right, even within the firewall.
Yeah, and that's what it is. Yesterday, when we were showing you Extreme Cloud IQ, we were talking about active RF, showing you what's happening real time. There too, we were showing you maps from the viewpoint of the client. Here in AI, we are taking data from network, from the client side, bringing it together. Look, we are on this mission to make that always on real-time experiences, because that's what everybody wants. And these are all tools and systems that help us accomplish that. So, Marcus, since I see that you have finished typing.
I'm really fast, so I typed it already. So let's look at the client-side data. And that's a perfect segue into the shortest prompt competition that we have created. So client-side shows a lot of high interference. I just pie chart it. That's the shortest prompt ever. So that's the client view, client-side data. Again, a lot of high interference events from access point 9 seen from the client that is attached to access point 9. We can pie chart it. And then ultimately, we don't want to end up with just displaying data. We want to give you recommendations on what you should do to...
So Marcus, before you get there, I love this thing. You have just, in 2 minutes, you've created 4 different charts. The product team sitting here, how many times do you get this feature request to change the way the graphs look in Extreme Cloud IQ? Or the feature request to generate specific reports that are not available? Hardik is sitting there. He would be rich if he got $1 every time he got an ask for that. But this is the power of the system. Yeah. You can generate the graphs the way you want them. And you can do it dynamically. You can do it on the spot, on demand. And if you don't like it, ask it to generate the graph differently.
Correct.
Now, where we want it, and I don't want to put you on the spot here, but I'm going to promise on your behalf, we're going to take it to a point that you will be able to generate on-demand, full-fledged reports directly from Extreme AI Expert. Talk about the power of this platform. And all of you, please calculate in your minds right now, how many man-hours, how many dollars will you save by just that one feature? That's the power of this platform. That is the power of this ecosystem. And this is where we are taking it. So, Marcus, I'm going to hand it back to you. Do you want to share something else?
Yeah, by the way, no pivot table involved.
No pivot table involved.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
But if you want to take it to Excel, you can also do that.
Yeah. Actually, we do have an export function specifically implemented based on Eduardo's request to do that. Yes, exactly.
We just went backwards, but that's okay.
We might look for a hookup to the printer next, so we can print it.
Reporting is good, but you want to take action, so we have the ability to analyze the configurations and make a recommendation, which I'm asking the system to do. For those looking at the configuration of those access points, what you recommend to do, and the system is analyzing it and coming back with a reference to a knowledge base article that we had created around that problem. So you also know, again, where did the recommendation come from? And obviously, over time, we will give you the ability through a one-click remediation to automate it once or automate it every time this event is going to happen. You have full control on what you want to do, but the system is getting better and better and is improving over time on how much automation you want and how much automation we can give you. Yeah, so.
But you went way too fast on that one. So the system analyzed the diagnosis, then it analyzed the knowledge base, then it analyzed proposed configurations and gave you a recommendation. I don't know if you see that every day, but that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And it's going to execute if you want to.
And one thing that I would point out is that some of these, and these are obviously very, very early use cases, and we very intentionally picked up the use cases that almost all of you run into every single day. We could have shown a very complicated what-if scenario, and the people sitting here would have thought, I don't really do it on a daily basis. Or it would be, well, I don't know if I can trust it. Remember the part, we can solve problems that exist today and save you time today. And that is the purpose of it. Now, some of you might be thinking that, well, you know, I have some other system based on some other technology. Some of them, even expert systems, can do a little bit of that. But the difference here is those were built specifically to those answers, and there is a human sitting in the background updating that information. These are built on models that learn dynamically with unlimited amount of data in the background, and they evolve faster than any human can. And that's really when the power of this starts. Now, so Marcus, thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Marcus. Now, I was going to go a last round and was going to ask everybody, you know, what are your thoughts for the future? But I looked at the clock, and then I'm looking at Eliza. And Eliza told me that if I go more than 5 minutes over, she's going to ban me from the stage forever. But we have 45 seconds, 5 seconds each. Eric, one last thought.
Use it, learn it, do it, and have fun with it, and then let's all get together and make it work.
Love it. Eduardo.
There's only going to be two types of people in this new era that we're living in right now. The people who try it out, experiment, and find out how to use it to their benefit, and those who watch the first group. Don't be in the second group.
Love it. Marcus.
I think start with a use case and experiment. I think those two things are the most important one by far. Yeah.
I'm going to take 5 extra seconds, Eliza. My message to all of you is this is a journey. This is the one extreme. We together move forward on it. Get engaged in the conversation. We'll open some of it to you because this is not something that we can completely produce and hand it to you. We will do this together. And this is the journey of AI. And with that, I am so thankful to our ecosystem partners here for making it possible for us and you. Thank you so much, guys.